So in this video, we're gonna recreate that pretty cool animation that you just saw. We're gonna recreate it all from scratch. We're gonna cover the creation of this chain and putting it into this pattern. We're gonna cover the particles kind of growing on top here and the material change as well that happens in the background, as well as the simple animation and lighting the scene. So let's jump right into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to drop in a rectangle. We're going to make the width 45 and the height actually 90, sorry. And let's make it round. Let's make it as round as we can. I'm just going to click on the object, press O to zoom in on it. What we're also going to create is a circle, and we're going to make that 6.5. And this is going to be the thickness of our chain here. The way we're going to do that is we're going to create a sweep. So here's the sweep. Let's put these two in here, and there we have our shape. It's really important that the circle is on top of the square, otherwise you end up with this. Cool. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to duplicate this sweep. I'm going to call the bottom one bottom, and the top one top. I'm going to go to the top one and rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to press F4 to go to my front view and just zoom in here. And oops, I'm going to move this up somewhere around here. So here, this looks pretty good. Cool. I'm going to put both of these into one group. Let's call that chain, and we're gonna also drop both of those in a cloner. Holding Alt and pressing the cloner, there we have our cloner. By the way, I have my scene set up here at 1280 by 1280. That's why my viewport is like this. So now that it's in a cloner, let's make sure that the cloner, with object, the cloner is a radial cloner. I'm gonna make this 7, make the radius let's say like 120. Gonna go XY so I can see it like this. And if I go to my transforms, I'm gonna move around this one here and move it until these all go in each other like this. Around 95 degrees I found looks nice. Cool. Let's drop in a camera just so we can have our composition right. I'm gonna zero out all my coordinates, and I'm gonna zoom out here like so. And I'm gonna take my cloner and bring it down a little bit so it's center. Cool. I'm gonna add a protection on the camera so I don't move it by accident. So this is our shape. Let's quickly animate it. I set my timeline here to 500 frames because I kind of want this to be a slow animation that's just cool to look at. So I'm gonna go to my cloner, I'm gonna go to the transform, and you'll notice this one here. When I play with the rotation, I get this cool mesmerizing animation. You don't want to play with this one because this one that goes out, unless this is what you're going for, of course, which looks cool as well. But I'm going to keep that at 0. I'm going to go 0 here. Make sure I'm at my 0 on the timeline. Drop in a keyframe, and I'm going to go to 500, and I'm going to make this 360 and drop on a keyframe. Now it slowly rotates. I'm also going to open up my timeline view here, go to this mode, and I'm gonna, this one here, actually no, it seems to be good. Or actually maybe it's not. I'm gonna press Ctrl A and make it linear, just so there's no easing on that animation. Cool. So let's go back and let's the way we're going to create those particles is using a RS scatter. So if you click on here, or a matrix scatter, I'm sorry, and drop that in, it drops in this right away, which we don't want. So we're going to go to Object, and we're going to, for the mode, select Object, and for the object, we're going to select our cloner. We're going to have a lot of these little rocks, so I'm going to make them 500. And for the draw size, this is just so we see it here. I'm going to bring it down somewhere around 4. Okay. Now that we have this, let's make them appear with a field. So the way we're going to do that is let's click on our RS matrix and drop in a plane. We don't want any of the position, but what we do want is scale and uniform scale and -1. So now they're visible, of course, but we can bring them back with fields. So I'm going to drop in a regular field and a sphere. And you'll notice now when I put the sphere on top, they disappear. We actually want the inverse of that. So I'm going to click on my sphere, go to remapping, go to invert. And I'm going to make my sphere quite a bit bigger so it covers the whole chain. Something like this. And let's go ahead and animate this as well. I'm going to animate the same way. I'm going to go right here, go to my coordinates, drop in a keyframe here, go to frame 500, and move this guy all the way here, and drop in another keyframe. So now, very simply, we have an animation that does this. Cool. One thing we're going to do to the plane here is we're going to make it also rotate. This way, when they're growing, they're going to look like they're sort of rotating. It's very subtle here, but you'll notice these cubes now have a slight rotation as they're scaling up. Okay. One thing we're going to do as well is we're going to add a delay, which is going to make this look a little bit slicker in motion. So I'm just going to click on RS Matrix and go here and go delay, and we're going to make this, let's make this like 80%. This you'll only see when it's being played here in real time, and there's going to be a slight little kind of delay to it. Finally, the last thing we'll add to this is a random. So they're not all the same size and in the exact same rotation. So we're going to click on RS Matrix, we're going to click on the random. And same thing, we don't need position, but rotation is nice. Let's make them completely random. And the scale, let's make it like 0.2. Okay. Now let's jump into the actual shape. So I'm gonna fire up Redshift, place it here, and turn it on. Okay. So let's bring in a little rock. I just went to my asset browser here, and I'm gonna drop in. I'm gonna use Stone 3, but feel free to use any one you want. I'm also gonna kill all of these. I don't need them for this. And let's go to my RS object here and make sure I have custom objects, and I'm gonna drop in my stone. It's very big, of course, so I'm gonna click on stone and press T, bring it down until I think it's the right size. Cool. Let's redo this for a second. Okay. Let's light this scene a little bit better so we can see our crystals here. So before we do that, let's just organize these quickly. I'm gonna group all of these into effectors. I'm gonna move out my field because I think we're gonna use this for a couple of things, and I'd rather see it by itself. And that's good enough. Let's now light this scene a little bit better. I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna first drop in a dome light. I'm gonna make it more on the grayish side. Let's add an area light. I'm gonna use the target tag and target our cloner. Let's place this light somewhere around here, maybe a little bit higher. I'm also gonna add a plane in the background, just so we have a background for our scene. Make it 9 degrees and push it back. I'm gonna make it quite a bit bigger so it covers our entire viewport. So obviously this looks really bad at the moment, super heavily overexposed, but let's fix this with, I'm gonna bring my lights here, this one, down to 40. Okay, I'm also gonna bring in a gobo light. That'll kind of give this some cool depth. So I'm gonna use Grayscale Gorilla. You don't have to use this. There's lots of places where you can get free HDRs, gobos, materials. I'm gonna use this as my source. I'm gonna use this light, and I'm gonna add this to a new light. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate my area light, and I'm gonna change that into a spotlight, and I'm gonna drop in this gobo. And then for the time being, I'm gonna hide my first area lights, and I'm gonna hide also my dome lights, and I'm gonna bring up the intensity quite a bit for this gobo. I'm gonna make it maybe around something like maybe even more. Okay. This is cool. Let's now bring in back my area lights and my dome light, and I'm gonna make my dome light less. I'm gonna make it like maybe 0.4, I should say. That's cool. Let's add a material to the chain just so we can see it a little bit better. So I'm gonna also use Grayscale Gorilla. I'm gonna use this this aluminum damaged material. Place it on my cloner. Okay. I'm gonna also make my crystals blue. They're also a bit big, so I'm just gonna scale them down a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna bring in this crater foam material and place it on my stone. All right. So at a high level, what we have now so far is a rotating chain that has these particles grow, and they grow back out as the field goes away. If these are too small and big, there's a couple of ways to reduce the amount of them. One is to actually reduce the amounts here, or we can make them simply smaller either the same way I was doing it there by changing the size of the object itself, or if you click on the RS object, you can play with the scale multiplier. I'm gonna do that a little bit just for quicker control. I'm gonna make it 0.7. Maybe that's 0.8. Cool. So now the objects grow in and grow out, but what's not happening is the material changing in the background. And the way we're gonna do that is with a vertex map. Let's do that in this way. So I'm gonna open up my effectors. I'm gonna duplicate this spherical field, which is already animating from left to right. I'm gonna duplicate that, except I'm gonna make it into a linear field. Linear fields, as soon as they cross their path, they never go back. So now we have two things here moving. If you look here, I'm gonna hide actually my sphere just so you see it better. This is my linear that's going across from here to here, and it's going in the same way that the spherical field is. Except the linear one is not affecting anything at the moment, it's just moving with it. And what we're gonna do with that is make that affect our vertex map. So if I click on my cloner, I have a shortcut for a vertex map here, but you can just press Shift-C, go Vertex Map, and for the field, I'm gonna use my linear field. So if you look at my vertex map here, you'll notice when the linear field starts touching this, it's gonna start turning yellow. There it is. Yellow kicks in here, it goes all the way over there. If you want it to be sharper and less of a gradient, then I can take my linear, make this smaller. So let's go back in time here, because the goal is to make it where after they turn into crystals, they start turning into this blue material. So I can do that by making this sharper, and I think that's gonna just make it turn yellow a little bit harsher and faster. This might be cool. We can also make our linear field a little bit faster as well. But for now, I'm going to keep this until we see how it looks like in the render, and then we can see if we need to move that. So how do we make the material change? We're going to do that by creating a standard material. I'm going to also go to Grayscale Gorilla and bring in this material, the ceramic blue. We're going to use that as the material for the chain after the vertex map hits it. So I'm going to apply this apply this new material as my main material for the cloner. I'm just going to change this. It's going to look really plain for now, but that's okay. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to open up the node editor here. I don't need this material. I'm going to take that out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, my metal. I'm going to Control A, Control C to copy it and go back to my material, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to group it right away just so it's organized. I'm going to call it metal. And what I'm going to do as well is double click and add in a material layer. And this is going to be our layer that's going to kind of blend between the two materials. We're going to use that as our surface for the main one. And then we're also going to click on this metal material. I don't need the output, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to copy my color and paste it here. And I'm going to make that my base color. So now just to quickly recap, we have our metal that's feeding into this material layer as the base color, and that is our final output. The reason why we're going to do that is because we're going to make another material that's going to go to this material layer, which is going to be the ceramic blue. So I'm going to click on that, do the same thing, Control A, Control C, to select all and copy, and I'm going to go to my new material here, and let's make this bigger. I'm going to paste it right here at the bottom, group it, I'm going to call it blue, and I don't need the output here. What I do want is to take this node and place it on the material layer, and we want this to be the color of layer 1, which is going to override our metal here and place this. That's okay for now, because we're going to use the vertex map as our mask. So double click here as well. Let's add a vertex attribute, and let's make that, take the upper color here, drop it. We're going to drop this to become our mask. And there's currently no attribute for this, but if we drag and drop our vertex map here, now it's taken it. So you'll notice now it's starting off like this, and let me play through this here. So when I play this, you'll notice now, I'm going to close this for a second. You'll notice that when the linear field here hits the chain, which is our vertex map, it's going to change the material to that second material. Let me pause it here. So you'll notice right now this part is changing, for example, and this part is still the metal. So if I keep going here and pause it, this has now become the blue, and this is the rest is slowly changing. You can play around with the materials here, of course, if we want something kind of more crystally, for example, on the for these guys here. You can, let's for example go here and just maybe type in glass. Go to materials. Just for example, let's take this like golden material and place it as our stone. And you'll notice now you have this, like, once it renders, because it's taking on all those refractions and so on, so it might be a little bit slower, but it's that easy to kind of switch up the materials. To switch the one for the for our main material, you need to open up our node editor and change one of these guys. Let me undo here, bring back that simple. That's pretty much it. Let me look at this again quickly, see if I missed anything major. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Feel free to play around with the colors and the lighting. You can make it more dramatic by, playing around with those lights. But that's pretty much the gist of how to achieve this effect.